Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days for today's second video. That's going to take us to around the 17th of March. We'll be able to extend out beyond that, the extended GFS and ECM ensembles running to around a couple of weeks. So I'll have a look at CFSB2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks, and that will take us pretty much to the end of March into the beginning of April. So I'll get on with that for you very shortly. Just say that weekend forecast has been released. So the weekend look ahead, as always on a Saturday, is having a detailed look at the weather for the next 7 days. And it's going to be quite an unsettled, changeable week. Again, there will be further rain involved. Not a deluge, not a total washout, but certainly an unsettled flavour to the weather is set to continue for the next week at least. We're going to be looking to see whether we can see any signs of high pressure, and we did do a poll on the Gaz Weather's YouTube channel a couple of days ago asking when Gaz Weather's viewers thought that we might get a change to something drier, and by that we're talking about really a week or more of high pressure, not just a day or so of a little transient ridge, but a proper area of high pressure bringing us a week or more of dry weather. So the results are in for that. We did this a couple of days ago. So 18% of Gaz Weather's viewers think that this change to high pressure will happen in the second half of March. 36% of our viewers think it will happen in April. Just 15% think it will happen in May, and just 7% think it will happen in June. A further 24% say that it won't happen and let's build an ark. So 24% of our viewers are not expecting any high pressure in the next few months at all. However, the majority think that we are going to get some high pressure in April. So we shall see, and all will be revealed, of course, in the next few weeks. Certainly, as I say, up to like the next week, it does look pretty unsettled. Big thank you to everybody who took part in that poll, and there will be more posts and polls coming up on the YouTube Gaz Weather's YouTube community page, and you get to that by clicking the community tab just there on the Gaz Weather's YouTube homepage, and that will take you through to this page. So look out for more posts and polls in the days to come. Central temperature is looking like this. I haven't looked at this for a couple of days, and it is looking pretty chilly. I mean, look at this. The CET provisional to yesterday, 6th of March, is standing at 4.7. It's about average, really, for 61 to 99, just 0.1 of a degree below average. But the main thing about this is how much cooler it is compared to January and February. So, of course, January CET came out at 6.4. An anomaly of 2.6 degrees above average. February's CET came out at 6.3, an anomaly of 2.5 degrees above average. So we are nearly 2 degrees, only 6 days in, of course, well, 7 counting today, but we are nearly 2 degrees below January and February's CET for this first 6 days of March. It tells us, I mean, it's not desperately cold, but it certainly tells us about the warmth that we had in January and February. Sort of drained away as we've gone into the beginning of March. The temperatures are certainly sort of slid down. This is probably the lowest the CET has been on a sort of rolling average basis since the first days of December. You remember, first couple of days of December back last year, we did get a few cold, frosty nights and chilly days just for the first 2 or 3 days, and so December 2019 actually began with quite a low CET, and then it quickly came up as the deluge got going later on in the first week of the month. But anyway, this is probably the lowest the CET has been on a rolling basis for around 3 months, back to the beginning of December, and yeah, we've gone into the beginning of mid-tropical spring, and the temperature is certainly a little bit on the chilly side. If the temperature was to stay there, that would actually be colder than any month so far any month through the winter, only for 3 winter months. This CT page at Galsworthy's has every month's central in temperature listed right way back to 1659. The CT is the longest and oldest and most consistent temperature record anywhere on Earth, although of course the further back you go, the more unreliable it becomes. But if you scroll down through the decades and through the centuries, we can come down to the present year, which of course is going to take us to 2020. There it is, 2020 just there. So the CT for December 2019 was 5.8. November was 6.2. So if we was, and of course not January, February, 6.4 and 6.3. So if we was to keep the CT right where it is right now for March, 4.7, that would be colder than any of the winter months, and also colder than November last year as well. Of course, we probably won't keep it at that level, but I'm not seeing any sign of an excessively mild month. Far from it. It could turn out that the CT for this month comes out reasonably close to average. These are our averages. So for 81 to 2010, the March average is 6.6, and for 61 to 1990, the March average is 5.7. So if we was to come out close to the 61 to 1990 average at 5.7, we would actually be very close to December to December's CT. Maybe even a little bit under it. Of course, it's not that long ago, but we had a cold March. It was only back in 2018 when we had the Beast from the East. We had a March CT then of 4.9. Before that, very mild March at 8.7. And then, of course, if we go far enough back, we come to 2013, which was very, very cold. Very, very cold March indeed at 2.7. That was either the coldest March since 1962 or even further back than that, if you care to go. So March 2013 was at 2.7. This is 1962 just here, which had a March CT of 2.8. So if you remember, if you were watching the videos back on the original Gavin Partridge YouTube channel, we did cover this at the time. There was a little bit of controversy when we got to the end of March 2013, as the headline sort of the headline about March 2013 was that it was the coldest March since 1962, and that was correct UK-wide. But you'll have noticed there that March 1962 for the CT, central temperature, came out at 2.8, and March 2013 was 2.7, just 0.1 of a degree underneath it, which actually meant that for the CT, March 2013 was the coldest since a very, very long time back. The coldest since 1883. We have to go back to 1883 just here, when we had a March CT of 1.9. And for the central temperature, March 2013 was the coldest March since 1883. But UK-wide, it was the coldest March since 1962. For point of reference, the mildest March on record is 1957, quite a long time ago. That came out at 9.2. And the coldest March on record for the CT, anyway, is a very, 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 very long time back. We go all the way back into the 1600s, and the coldest March on record was actually, I'm just looking for it now, I found it, yeah, there it is, was actually in 1674. Coldest March on record for the CT was 1674, with a March CT of 1.0. We certainly won't be beating that for March 2020, but it will be interesting to see where we come out with this month. It's not totally impossible this March might be colder than any of the winter months. I think there's probably quite a decent chance it will be colder than January and February. Actually, I think there's a reasonable chance it could come in under 2020. It probably will come out higher than December at 5.8, but it's going to be interesting to see where that finishes up, and sort of similar maybe to what happened in 1995. So 1995 had a January CT, not that excessive actually, of 4.8, and then February was very mild in 1995 at 6.5, and then March came out at 5.6. We may finish up somewhere close to that for this March. But as I say, it's going to be quite interesting to see how it plays out. And the sort of more wide, broad picture, the wide picture about this is that it certainly looks as though the very, very mild start that we began, the very, very mild temperature that we began and started this year with in January and February, it looks like that's sort of drained away for the time being. And whilst we probably won't get a particularly cold March, we're not talking about a March 2013 or a March 1962 or a March 1883. Again, we're not really seeing any signs of excessive mild conditions either. So certainly looks like we have, for the time being anyway, arrested that very, very mild start to the year that we started 2020 with. So moving on to the forecast then, and these are the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts from Penn State University for the next week to 10 days. We've got the ECMWF on the top, and the GFS, which we will have a look in a moment, is on the bottom. So 500 millibars is an area in the atmosphere, high pressure and low pressure, being moved around by the jet stream. Red extrapolate high pressure, blue to low pressure. So we can see that with the ECM in the 7 to 10 day time frame, as I said, it's taken us into the sort of second half of March now. We just get to the 17th of March, which is just beyond mid-month. We see that, yes, we still look unsettled with the ECM. Not as unsettled as we have been, but we still bring below average heights, which is sort of weak areas of low pressure in off the Atlantic. The jet stream's still a little bit southerly as well, so it still looks pretty cool and pretty unsettled with the ECM as we look out just beyond mid-month. But GFS is seeing more influence from high pressure. That's been the case for quite a while now. The GFS has tended to be more sort of keen on building up this ridge out in the Atlantic and pushing the jet stream northwards, which is a bit unusual for the GM actually, because for the GFS, because actually this model, the GFS, tends to be a little bit more Atlantic driven. So it's quite unusual to have the ECM, the more unsettled of the two. Normally it would be the GFS that would be going for the continuation of unsettled weather, and the ECM would be the one that sees more in way of higher pressure. So quite unusual what's going on there. But anyway, the GFS does show the jet stream again pushing northwards. It shows this ridge building up to the southwest. That could be the start of spring commencing as we get into the second half of the month. Of course, it's not going to be overly mild with that. The wind direction would be sort of northwesterly, so it wouldn't be particularly spring-like for temperature, but at least it would be allowing things to dry out a little bit. And it will be allowing the very, very wet and sodden ground that we've got at the moment to begin to dry out. So the GFS definitely the more anticyclonic of the two as we look to the middle part of the month. Well, just beyond the middle of the month, really. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. The next couple of weeks on at Canterbury today. The red line is 30-year upper air temperature average for Canterbury. Bit up and down at the moment, but generally a little bit milder. We're actually going through a slightly milder phase at the moment. We've got a warmer sector with us today and tonight. Going to go a bit colder later tomorrow and into Monday. It goes very mild from Monday through to Wednesday down in the south. After that, though, the temperature drops. We go through a colder phase as we head in towards the middle part of March, and then beyond that, just very close to the long-term temperature, upper air temperature average as we move towards like the end of the final end of the third week of March, and just heading towards the final week of March, although that's very extended range stuff. Rather unsettled again still, not a deluge, but we never truly turn things drier up to the middle of the month anyway. So I have got rainfall to come tonight, some more on Monday, and then showery really for the rest of next week. Next weekend could turn rather unsettled again with some more heavy rain over the weekend, and then maybe a bit of a drying trend in this very extended range. But even then, we don't totally get rid of these precipitation spikes. So at the moment, we're still waiting for a consistent high pressure and dry signal. Yes, we are seeing a signature for things to become drier, probably, particularly compared to what we had in February. But still not truly settling things down really at the moment. Temperature anomalies from the 7th to the 15th of March, quite close to average, maybe a little bit below for Scotland and Northern Ireland, a little bit above for England and Wales. It's not a big deviation either way. Precipitation anomalies, certainly in the northwest, looks wetter than average still. Elsewhere, near normal really for precipitation, or around average, which of course is still a little bit on the unsettled side. So that's how the GFS is looking for Wednesday. It's still covered by weekend forecast, of course, but Tuesday, Wednesday, rather complicated day, because I think we're going to have a weather front that's a bit strung out. The moment that front doesn't look overly active, but it's a couple of days away, and it is possible that the front might become more active at some point from Tuesday to Wednesday as it becomes like a broad cold front. It might bring another band of heavy rain to England and Wales. Further north, we've got those showery westerly winds, and as we move through to Thursday and Friday, we're into rather a cold and showery sort of northwesterly flow there. Into next weekend, still quite unsettled, low pressure, never really going away. It still has influences, so at the very least, there will be showers, if not longer spells of rain next weekend. And quite cold too as winds turn into the north. By daytime, we're having a go at building some higher pressure. We're trying to build high pressure both from the southwest, which we saw on the 500 millibar high anomaly flow chart. We're also trying to build up some high pressure to the northeast as well. So we are trying to generate a ridge of high pressure through the country at day 10. However, it doesn't really come off, and we bring another system through there on the 18th of March. That brings a further band of rain. And moves out to reach high pressure northwards, so it's going to a very extended range. At this point, we're a long way out. This is Friday, 20th of March. The GFS has probably gone off on a tangent, but it does eventually turn us into like a northern blocking type situation, with high pressure setting up to our north and over Scandinavia. We pull the wind into the east, and then that begins to bring much colder air in from the east, as the upper air temperature is showing quite a deep cold pool over Scandinavia, moving across the North Sea. So eventually, the 6 o'clock GFS run does produce quite a cold spell of weather as we look towards the end of the third week of March. But again, I think by this point the GFS has probably gone off on a tangent. I wouldn't really look any further than around day 10 at the moment, not reliably anyway, which has this ridge through the country. So be a case of where that ridge goes if it does form. As I say, at this point, it is extensive northern blocking that we see there within the 6 o'clock GFS running in its very extended range, and it does turn a lot colder as well. But again, I think it's probably gone off on a tangent at that point. GEM looks like that, so again quite unsettled as we go into the middle part of next week. There will be rain around, quite mild though down in the south, a taste of spring for southern areas in terms of a temperature anyway. Second half of next week stays unsettled really as we move up towards day 10. Then we start to get this build of pressure. Again, it's trying to get the high pressure up towards Scandinavia, you'll notice. So there are maybe a few hints here actually, but as we move towards or into like the beginning of the second half of the month, we may have a go at turning wind into the east. As I keep saying, spring is the most easterly season of the four. Spring is the season that we most associate with easterly winds, and especially the further on we go. So as the weeks tick by, the greater the chance we will start getting easterly winds. Of course, by the time we get through to May, which is the most easterly month of all of the months in the year, those easterlies will not be cold. In fact, they could be, depending on the source of the air, they could be relatively warm with those easterly winds by the time we get through to May. But as the spring progresses, we do expect to start getting more in the way of easterly influences. And if this does happen in March, then it's not totally impossible that we might start putting in some cold air from the east. And then we've got the ECMWF as well. This is how the ECM is looking for Tuesday. So this is Tuesday 10th March. Again, unsettled, quite mild down in the south, though, with spring-like temperatures. Into the second half of next week, then we go colder and more showery. Again, low pressure pushing through as we head up towards day 10. Northerly there on the 16th of March. And then we finish up on Tuesday the 17th of March, day 10. Just again, starting to show signs of getting a bit of a ridge building down to our southwest. It's less so what the GFS and the GEM is showing. Still quite unsettled actually for the northwestern parts of the country at day 10. But just maybe again the first signs of a bit of a change towards higher pressure for the second half of March. This would be precipitation type forecast from Meteo.com based on that ECM run. So we've got rain in the northwest today with fresher winds. Overnight tonight, rain pushes across the country. We'll all get a dose of rain tonight. Into tomorrow, wintry showers in the north and west, and then more heavy rain, maybe with hill snow in the north through the course of Monday and into Tuesday. Tuesday's rather showery. Then we're going to sort of sunshine and showers type situation through the middle and second half of next week. Those showers increasingly wintry in the north into the second half of next week. This is the end of next week. So this is Friday. Could be some rain down in the southwest at that point. And then into next weekend, unsettled. This is Saturday, bring rain across the country in a week's time. Wintry showers follows that rain for Sunday. And then go through into Wars Day 10. This is going to be Monday the 16th of March, and we've got wintry showers in the north and the east. As we get to Day 10, that's how we're looking. Again, with just a little bit more influence from high pressure to the southwest, beginning to dry things out, although the next band of rain is still lurking there up to the northwest. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for Day 10, which is the 17th of March from the Icelandic Met Office. 12 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure over Scandinavia, low pressure to our south, and a ridge building out to the north and west of the country. Winds will be going into the east or possibly the northeast there, so that could be rather cold for Day 10 with that option. 10 members of the ECM ensembles have us westerly, low pressure out to the west. That's going to be unsettled, and westerly is still going on. 9, including the control and the operational run. The operational run is what I've just been talking about. Have this ridge beginning to build towards the southwest, so that's beginning to push the jet stream a bit further northwards. Maybe hints of going drier and milder for the south. 7 with high pressure to the north of Scotland, but also reaching through the country. That's going to be a drier solution as well. Another 7 with a ridge sitting just to our east, and then 6 keeps the deluge going, or has a bit of a deluge look about it anyway, with deep low pressure over the top of the country. So a lot of options on the table for Day 10. Possibly, though, the majority of those options are inching towards a higher pressure solution. Would be determined where that high pressure sits, of course, as to what the actual feel of the weather would be like. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This gets us to the 22nd of March. We have 20 members of the ECM ensembles then with a Scandinavian high, and they're bringing in an easterly wind. So not all that dissimilar to what the GFS 6 o'clock run is showing for that sort of period around 22nd, 23rd of March. Cold with easterly winds there. 18 have the high pressure sort of over and slight to the south of the country. That's much drier again. That's a much milder option with winds in from the southwest. And then 13 still looking a bit unsettled. Low pressure up to the north, quite flat with westerlies. And certainly for northern areas, those ones could be reasonably unsettled still. It does look as though we are growing in confidence with the idea of higher pressure into the second half of March. Again, the exact position of high pressure is critical as to whether it's mild and spring-like or whether we have cold easterlies. Finally, CFSV2, these are 500 millibar heights bring down to week periods. The first week period takes from the 7th to the 13th of March. The coming week is very unsettled with low pressure up to the north, high pressure to the south, and we still bring in those westerly winds, so more unsettled weather to come in the week ahead. Week 2 is sort of similar, but the low pressure is drifting northwards with jet stream. High pressure is building from the south. That's starting to turn us drier, and also pretty mild. Winds are in from the west, so it should be reasonably mild and spring-like and turning drier there. And then high pressure is properly taking over by week 3, so 23rd, 27th of March. Under this big area of high pressure then, low pressure pushed much further northwards with the jet stream. That is proper spring-like weather. I'm quite sure about that. Nights could still be chilly, of course, but overall that is proper spring. And then week 4 is the 28th of March to the 3rd of April still, with a lot of high pressure influences. Much drier into the second half of March with the CFS. It's been a consistent signal from the CFS, the high pressure to take over through March. Of course, the original idea was that the high pressure should start around now and strengthen up to the middle of the month. We have pushed it back, this high pressure signal, into the second half of March, but it's still there. The CFS is still plugging away at the idea, and we are now starting to see more than a few hints within the shorter range GFS, ECM, that sort of output of higher pressure for the second half of March as well. The only question mark, and it's a big question mark, an important question mark, is where the ridge is sitting. If the ridge does get itself to Scandinavia and becomes some sort of northern blocking type feature, then we can expect the second half of March to be quite cold. Drier, yes, but quite cold. Alternatively, though, if high pressure sits over or to the south and southeast of the country, then we will be able to crack on with spring proper. And that will be revealed, of course, in the days ahead. Right, that's it for your videos for today. Tomorrow we're going to begin with the first batch of summer analogues. So, of course, we released the spring forecast on Sunday at GavsWeatherVids.com. The long-range bandwagon now rolls on, and the next season coming up is going to be summer. So the first summer update will be the first video tomorrow. We'll also have GavsWeatherVids Sunday Roundup as well. So keep checking back to GavsWeatherVids.com and also to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then you'll be notified when we release the content that you want to see. Give us a thumbs up on video, let us know that you enjoyed it through the comments and all of that stuff. And we'll see you tomorrow. That's all for now then, and thanks for watching.